Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Oborevwori. It's good to have you join us. I guess there might be a fair bit to discuss this morning, so let me just get into it. Let me introduce our guest this morning. Is Mr. Charles Aniagu, and Mr. Aniagu, I think a lot of people know, is the Delta State Commissioner for Information, but he's also the Delta State Commissioner for Works. Good morning to you, Charles.
Good morning, Yori. It's nice to meet you again.
Indeed. There's been a lot that's been going on, but we have a package report. We'll play that first to give us background, and then we'll really get into it.
It began as whisper in political circle. Rumors spread about Governor Oborevwori's plans. For weeks, he dismissed the speculations. But now, the whispers have become headlines. After a closed-door meeting with top political figures in Delta State, Governor Oborevwori has made his move. He has joined the ruling All Progressives Congress. Briefing journalists after the meeting were the pioneer chairman of the PDP in Delta State and five-time Senator James Manager, along with the Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information.
We needed to take a decision that will further help to cement the development in our state, to build the bond of love that have existed in our state, to further advance the cause of security and welfare of our people, and to a very large extent ensure that development in Delta, because every politics is local, is not truncated. And in taking that decision, we came to the inevitable conclusion that moving out of the PDP is very, very necessary for us to be able to collaborate with our kith and kin and build that state that every Delta will be proud of.
So the PDP has never gotten this kind of trouble before. PDP is in trouble, truly. I don't think it is good enough for the PDP family in Delta to continue to be inside that boat. That is what we have resolved. That is what we have decided.
Those present at the landmark meeting included Deputy Governor Monday Oyeme, former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, the PDP State Chairman, and all local government chairmen. Later in the day, Governor Oborevwori met with all 25 local government chairmen, again behind closed doors. He declined to speak to the press, but passed along the message clearly: the move is happening. Plans are already underway for a grand rally where Governor Oborevwori will officially be received into the APC fold. Top party leaders, including the Vice President, are expected to be in attendance. The mass defection represents a significant boost for the APC as it gears up for the 2027 general elections. But with so many political bigwigs now converging under one umbrella, analysts warn that managing the new dynamics could be just as challenging as the campaigns ahead. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Asaba.
Well, thanks to Ikenna there for that report. Went out earlier. Okay, so Charles, back to us. That was a background report, and we actually saw you in that report. You were the first person to be addressing the camera there, and quite frankly, you've explained a fair bit of it. But let me take it from this direction. I want to ask you, what in your estimation was the last straw that made this decision happen?
Well, thank you very much, Uncle Yori. It's nice to be here again to be able to throw light on some of the political developments in Delta. You do recall that in the past about 26 years now, since 1998, and then, of course, since the year 1999, when the present republic bettered, the PDP has had had sway in Delta, and has also been within this period able to make a whole lot of inroads. So in Delta, the PDP actually remains strong. So it was not a question of the weakness of the PDP in Delta that led to this development. But at the national level, I'm very sure you have followed through a number of development at the national level. And the last straw was when the governors of the party converged on Ibadan and took a decision that they were not going to collaborate with anybody and that they were not going to merge with anybody. And instead, they are asking that anybody who is interested should come and join them. And you are taking that a decision not from a position of strength, because I am sure you have followed through the development, particularly the national organ of the party. And if you also recall what happened to APC in Zamfara in 2019, where all the persons who were elected were swept off because there was what could look like a K-leg in how they became the candidate of the APC. With what is happening in the PDP, we believe that the effort towards addressing it doesn't seem to be very profound enough as not to warrant that kind of situation in 2027. Secondly, we are desirous of also further cementing the relationship, because that relationship do exist, that collaboration do exist. And the present administration has been fair in terms of bringing development to Delta. Every politics is local. I'm discussing these issues as it affects us in Delta. Perhaps another state will have a different view and will have evidence to show that the present administration led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, have been able to show a level of love to us in Delta. You recall not too long ago, the wife was also here. She has been here twice, extending still further hands of fellowship. All these coupled with the very disjointed decision that is taking place in our great party, once upon a time great party, culminated in the leaders of the PDP in Delta coming together to take a decision. This is not the decision of just the governor. Of course, I'm sure you can recognize that democracy offers you one major thing, and which is the view of the majority. So the majority was an overwhelming view of the leaders and stakeholders of the PDP that there was a need for that political family to empty into the APC, all for the purpose of advancing the growth and the development of our dear state. And there is nothing much more than that, Uncle Yuri.
That is actually plenty, but thank you very much, because news reports say that there was an extended meeting. You were a part of that meeting yesterday. So I wonder, it wasn't a snap decision. In fact, I think you said so, that this was not a decision that was likely taken. It followed something of a marathon meeting. What were the points being thrashed out? Because we have the whole parameter now. The bottom line is that Delta State is moving lock, stock, and barrel, so to speak, into the ruling APC. But it followed a lengthy meeting. Were there matters that needed to be reconciled? At the end of the day, it was a unanimous decision, as you have stated. But what took that long?
Well, you do know that at every point in life, you do get to a junction, even every day. For instance, when you were coming to the office this morning, you left your house. I am sure that the distance between your house and the office where you are now in somewhere in Ikusi, in K2, is not as the crow flies. It's not a straight line. So which means once you leave your house, there is a need for you to get to a little junction. Either you turn to the left or you turn to the right. And some other times you move straight. Why you take that decision is because you are looking at where it will lead you to your destination. As in destination in Delta is to be able to further advance the growth and the development of our dear state. And so once you get to that junction, it became necessary that you needed to consider which direction do we need to head for the purpose of realizing this goal that we have set for ourselves. Secondly, individuals, when they are born and as they begin to grow, have certain blood running in their bloodstream. Like we have always said that the PDP runs in our veins. But we do also know that even individuals, when sometimes you become very sick and it becomes necessary that there's a need to do some adjustment, you also undergo what medical doctors call blood transfusion. That blood transfusion enables you to take away the blood that has become contaminated and for you to acquire new blood, either through a blood bank, for you to be able to continue to live. So we got to that junction where it became necessary for us to ask for blood transfusion. So that is what has happened. We also got to that junction where we needed to decide whether we're going to move to the right or to the left, and which one leads to the destination. And our destination is to further to advance the development of our dear state. So we have taken this decision. It is not a very easy decision because, like I said, to change the blood that is in your system and put in a new one, either by way of dialysis or otherwise, is not an easy decision that you need to take. But everybody looked at the options, and we felt that if we didn't take that decision, there could possibly come a time where we would have behaved like that log of wood that was told that is going to be killed at a point or cut down, and it still remain where it is. But we're human beings. So if you tell us that the way it is, that when we get to this junction, that there is a likelihood of a thunder that will strike, I don't think with every sense of responsibility that we will still stand still at that junction and wait to be struck by that thunder. So we do hope going forward that every Nigerian will understand that democracy promises you the views of the majority, and that the majority will be able to have their way, even as the minorities will have their say. What we did in Delta is a total consultation amongst members of the political family. And that consultation at the moment was concluded, and it was overwhelming. But at the moment, we're also cascading it down to the grassroots. You want to ask, how was it possible that every member of the National Assembly from the PDP extraction, every member of the House of Assembly, all political appointees from the 25 local government areas, leaders of the party before now, all ward chairmen, all ward ESCO, all local government ESCO, all local government chairmen, all the ESCO at the state level, moving. If it was not democracy at play, you could have seen that Mr. A moved and Mr. B didn't move. So what happened in Delta is democracy at play.
Interesting, very, very interesting. Well, there are a number of questions that are playing around in my mind now, but this is revealing. It's a lock, stock, and barrel thing. The governor moving with his entire team. So as you are sitting there now, you are actually a member of APC, you know, technically speaking, just waiting for the I's to be dotted and the T's to be crossed. But I wonder how you feel, or perhaps it's not how you feel, how the public feels about former Governor Okowa also being in this. Pictures were seen of him. He seems entirely on board with this idea. Former Governor Okowa was the running mate of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in the last election. Can you speak about any aspect of that?
I told you about when you leave your house and you're going to the office, that sometimes you get to a junction, either you turn to the right or you turn to the left. We got to that junction where we needed to make a decision as to turn to the right, and that was what happened. Now, for you to be a leader, you must have people that you are leading. Okowa is our national leader. The people you are leading are saying, look, we have looked at this thing. The crystal ball is not going to be very favorable if we remain where we are, and that there is a need for us to move. And all the leaders of the party across the 25 local government area were unanimous in that decision. So even if Okowa or even Governor Sheriff had wanted to stay back, and the people you are leading are saying, no, we are moving, no, you would have become an empty leader leading nobody. And so it is not something that you think was also very light for them, these individuals that you have mentioned, who today are our leaders. But for those of us that they are leading, who have examined the situation, the very intractable situation in our party, the very, very disturbing challenge coming from even some governors of the party, who you do know play a very, very critical role. Except some of these our leaders begin to look inwards and forget about certain level of selfishness at the national level. Everybody cannot become a presidential candidate of a political party. And if you look, and amongst you, there is nobody who may be able to fit that bill, even if you have to look outside. You recall in 2015, particularly before 2015, in 2014, the mergers that came together to form APC. You recall then the then ACN, the then AMPP, the then CPC, a faction of ABGA, and then, of course, the new PDP. All of them, when they came together, they realized that President Muhammadu Buhari, who was then who had contested about 4 times and could not have a headway, was somebody who had a bank of votes, about 12 million votes, and that even if he had just one state being run by his party, the CPC, and that was Nasarawa, that he was the person who was positioned at that time to be able to take the power from the wrestle power from the PDP and form a new government. We must distinguish between a political party and a pressure group. I have listened to a whole lot of commentaries. This is not the time to begin to over-moralize. Political parties are formed ab initio for the purposes of contesting election, winning election, forming a government, and then delivering on the manifesto or the policies that are well spelled out by the candidate or the political party itself. Political party is not just for you to begin to say, this place that I am today, I must remain there. When you know that if you remain there and you are not able to take a decision, something will happen. You remember, let us go to even America, the greatest today, greatest democracy in the world today. Sometimes you see, I recall when Mitt Romney said that he's a Biden Republican. What does that mean? That yes, he's a Republican, but he was going to support Joe Biden. Even McCain and many others. There are sometimes the only difference why they remain in their own political party to take that decision is because they have been able to advance, because for over 240 years, that democracy have come to become very mature. So they could have some what you call ideological leaning. And that ideological leaning may make them to remain in one political party, even as they take a decision to support another political party for the good of country. I do believe that as we advance in our democratic journey, we will be able to get to that place where we are able to develop our ideological leaning such that even when individuals want to support another candidate, you can say, just like I'm a Biden Republican, you can say, I'm a Tinubu PDP, in which case you are in PDP, but you will support an APC presidential candidate. I pray that we'll get to that level for the growth of our democracy. But where we are now is that point where it is important to consider the taste of the palm wine. And if it has changed considerably, you also need to adjust the drinking pattern. Otherwise, it communicates differently in your brain.
Some people were actually, chuckling when you brought up that palm wine analogy. Again, they've been hearing about it. Once it changes, then corresponding actions on the part of the drinker have to be, deployed. I think it's fair to say, having listened to you and having, of course, heard the news, that the PDP has disappointed the people in Delta State, has disappointed the electorate in Delta State. Otherwise, the entire leadership of the place, with apparently one voice, would not have been able to take this particular decision. So that part of it is known. But let me ask you, do you foresee any ideological differences that will need some sort of ironing out? People coming from the PDP into, and they're coming willingly. They seem to be coming dancing, with music, metaphorically speaking, coming into, the APC. Ideologically, is there that much of a difference? Because when politicians are politicking, they sometimes say that, no, don't compare us with anybody. We are not like them at all. But apparently, there doesn't seem to be that difficulty, ideologically speaking.
At the moment, almost every political party in Nigeria or every political group or interest in the country is going through what I may call concentric circle of conspiracy, where the conspirators come together for the purpose of seeing how they can advance certain causes. And I do want to believe that as we make progress in our democratic journey, we will get to that level where after all the rumblings, we are able to take a decision as to where we belong. Today, there is none of the political parties that is very heavily developed in terms of ideology, except we want to lie to ourselves. And that is why, if you look at, for instance, the APC, go and take roll call of the individuals who hold sway in that political party today. There are individuals who have also been in different political parties before now. And so, maybe, perhaps, as we make progress as a country, we will begin to develop those ideals that are prevalent in part of the advanced society. If you also look at, for instance, America, I keep going there because it's a place that will copy a whole lot from democratically. When Trump came in and then won the election, he wasn't a main insider in the Republican Party. And of course, you could see the whole lot of changes that the Republican Party is going through. Today, one of the reasons why the Democratic Party did not do so well in the last election It's a question of what they are doing with respect to gender issues. And the American people, majority of them, believe that there is a need to go back to natural causes and not for a man to become a woman and a woman to become a man. Even when some of them were not comfortable with a few of the things that Trump did at the twilight of his first tenure, they could not help but navigate towards him when they approached the ballot. Now, coming back to Nigeria, the issue of whether we are going to begin to pursue the same ideology, the ideology we have today in Delta is that of development, is that of advancing the cause of growth, and nobody, whether they are in PDP, APC, or any of the other political party, will fault the effort of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori to develop Delta State, and the effort he has also made, which has yielded results across sectors. So, but as we are moving into the APC, we are hoping by the grace of God that we are going to further the frontiers of that development, build more consensus with our brothers and sisters who have been there before, expand the reach of consultation, and reduce squabbles that has become a bane of development at some time or the other. We didn't want to remain at a time where we are just continuing to gaze as to where are we or where are we not. You said whether PDP disappointed Delta. No, I didn't say so. I said for the 26 years that the PDP has held sway in Delta, we have seen a whole lot of development. But there are certain developments at the national level, and that development at the national level cannot be divorced from what may likely happen in 2027. And that all the effort that was being made to deal with that development is being truncated by even those who should have been able to resolve it. And I gave you an instance of what happened in Ibadan amongst our governors, where they came with what looks like a braggadocious grandeur to say, yes, we will not merge. We will not collaborate. Anybody who wants to join, come. How can you say so from a very weak point? When they say so, we suspect that some of them were causing more harm to the party than even the outsiders that they have been calling. You just look at it. If the CPC, like I mentioned before, the ACN, the faction of PDP called the new PDP as at that time, a faction of a group of persons too, who came in from Abga, of course, Rocha Sukorocha, saw the need to collaborate, and they were able to wrestle power. And today, they are still holding sway. Remember, we are in the political arena. We are not in a church. If you are going to a church, it is not the same dress that you wear to a church that you wear to a swimming pool. So at any given time...
Pardon, Charles, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Charles, forgive me for interrupting you, but we have our first caller. Our first caller is out of the UK, Mr. Olabalogun. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for...
Can you hear me, Uncle Yori?
Hear you, thank you.
Hello, Uncle Yori.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Uncle Yori, interesting time in Nigeria. Interesting time. The question I have for the gentleman there is just two questions. Number one question, who is now the leader in Delta State? Who is the leader? And my reason of asking who is the leader is, what is going to happen to the chieftains of the PDP? Again, the chieftains in PDP said that they were afraid of the EFCC pushing them around. Number two, the PDP said that these people are not Democrats and that they will throw them out when they come back to PDP. Most importantly, they owe the APC in Delta. And I know why I'm asking, because we are not discussing yesterday that there's going to be more trouble in that state. Who is the leader now? I want him to tell us openly, who is the leader? I know they will say, oh, by political blah, 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 the governor is leader, blah, 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 but he met some people on the street. So there's going to be more trouble on the election. Thank you very much.
Mr. Abalogun. Okay, sir. So how would you see that?
The questions, I know maybe he's asking the first question because he's not in Nigeria, he's in UK. In every state, the moment a governor moves into any political party, the governor who is the governor of the state becomes the leader. There are other leaders. The governor becomes the leader of that political party, and that is the way it is in the other 35 states of the federation. You recall when Obaseki moved into the PDP, just less than 2 weeks to the election, to the primary election. Even with less than 2 weeks, he also became the leader. It is something that everybody knows. Today, Trump is the one leading the Republican Party. That is the way it is. So the issue of who is the leader is not an issue. Now, coming to what will happen to those who are also meeting in the APC. If you are going to build bridges of possibility, such bridges entails uniting, collaborating, having a handshake across the lines, and being able to move along with the people. The people who are also meeting and want to believe will realize that there is a need for them to also open up their hands for all of us to flow in the same direction. That is what I expect. And we are not saying that the moment you move in tomorrow, everything will fall in lines. It is up to us, all of us, both those who have been in the APC and those of us who are coming in, to ensure that we smoothen the lines and allow them to fall in their pleasant places. And so there is no question as to what is going to happen going forward. At any given time, even if you are within the same political party, reconciliation, continuous bridge building, continuous interaction is a process, because we are in a society. Even the trees that are in the forest, sometimes when the wind blows, you see one move in one direction and another one collaborates. And when they collaborate, they are able to provide shade wherever they are. So for us to be able to also provide shade for those who are following us, that collaboration is inevitable. And so that is the way it is, my brother Balogun, and that is how we're going to make that progress along that line.
Right then. Okay, thank you. At this point, Charles, we'll take a break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back to continue, and we'll continue to take in calls as well. Stay with us, please.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrency.
Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate fact from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back, and our guest still with us is Charles Aniagu. Mr. Aniagu is the Delta State Commissioner for Information, as well as the Commissioner for Works. And Elder Eke is on the line now. He's held on for quite a long time. Thank you very much for your patience, Elder Eke. Please go ahead now.
Hello? And Elder Eke yes. On the line now. He's held on for quite a long time.
Yeah. Uncle Yori?
Sir, good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Yeah. You see, I want to tell you something. What is happening with PDP now? Are you hearing me?
We can hear you.
Okay. What is happening with the PDP now was what Yeso Wike predicted. That was what Yeso Wike was telling people. Yes.
We're so sorry that we lost Elder Eke. He was just going to start a certain line of analysis, but we're working at it. Also apologize for the feedback, I think is the technical term they call it, where you're hearing stuff I said seconds ago, it's coming back loud and clear. Apologies, we're sorting all of that now as we speak. So there we have it. Charles, so you were just explaining that, no, you never said that the PDP had disappointed the people of Delta State, but I think, okay, I take that. You didn't say that, and I didn't want to imply that you said it. I am the person who, floated that idea that it could only have meant this if you had taken the monumental decision. In fact, some will call it a political tsunami. But I think of the leadership that must have met for that long time must have decided that if we don't do something, God forbid, something will do us. And so this move had to be made. Now, let me return to, even though I've mentioned his name before and you sort of commented, the former governor, Okowa, as you know, was the running mate to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And when one heard that he was also joining the APC family, and in the immediate last election, he had been the running mate of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who is at the center of trying to form a coalition, that really speaks volumes once you begin to look at it. Once you begin to look at it, that really speaks volumes. Your comment on that?
My dear brother Yuri, I am very much aware, because following your trajectory, that for a very long time you had worked elsewhere. I recall you, I think you played a role maybe in The Nation or so, even before coming to TVC. And those places where you worked, they are not dead. And you did not move because you wanted the place to die. You moved because you felt that you could also make better contribution, grow better in where you are today. Perhaps you may want to call that occupational migration, or it could be also a change of direction. So I have told you that at any given time in the life of a man, you get to a junction where you need to take a decision. And you cannot take a decision at any time to say, I am going to go to the left, go to the right, and go to the front. No, you must move in one direction because you cannot bilocate. The people that they lead, which we call the political family in PDP, said, look, our leaders, from what we see, it does appear that the future in this party is very, very bleak, except we want to go into political oblivion. Because I've heard people talk about they move because of selfish interest. And I ask, what is selfish interest? A politician contests election because he wants to win. And that he wants to win because he wants to govern. Could that be said to be selfish interest? And yet you still come and line up and vote for that politician. When you are voting for the person, is that not also, can that also be said to be selfish? We are in a political party.
Reverend Dominic, that we know you are on the line, sir. We're coming to you, Reverend Dominic, just for, Charles to land his thought.
Our goal is to bring governance, which is what we are doing, and credibly so in Delta. Are we going to just keep quiet because some individuals may begin to ask certain questions and keep quiet until we lose the election? And these same individuals who are asking this question will begin to mock us, or will begin to now lead the state, in this case Delta, in the wrong direction. What we did is to enable us remain focused, remain committed to our goals, which is to begin to sustain the developmental trajectory in our dear state. I want to believe that that should be simple enough for people to understand.
Indeed, I think so. Reverend Dominic, thank you so much, sir, for your patience. Go ahead now, please. Reverend Dominic, are you still there? Perhaps we lost Reverend Dominic because, again, there were issues. There were issues. So, Reverend Dominic, please see if you could call in again. I think we are, increasingly sorting out those issues. So, thank you for calling in, even though we weren't able to speak. So it looks like the die is cast. There's no going back. In fact, the only way that there would have been any of that is perhaps if we had heard that you'd had a perfunctory 15-minute meeting. But as you said, it was a meeting of all concerned, and you are even now preparing to trickle it down at a formal ceremony where you will be received into the ruling APC at a ceremony, at a later date, right?
Let me tell you, Yori, my brother, what we are doing cannot in any way be likened to this Rugere dance, where possibly you can dance in one direction even when the beat may possibly navigate towards another direction. We are very, very convinced about the decision we have taken. And even if the PDP bounces back tomorrow, we'll be happy that it has bounced back because it will help to advance the cause of democracy. We do not wish that the PDP dies because it's more or less the old grand party in our country. But it's most unfortunate that the junction where we have gotten to necessitated a decision for us to be able to continue to advance the developmental trajectory in our dear state. And that is why we took that decision. We wish the remaining persons in the party well. We do hope that they are able to also find courage to address the number of these issues that we have raised, so that going forward, even as we will move into the APC, to still help to advance the cause of development in our country by making our own efforts and, of course, suggestion known to those who are going to be meeting in the APC. We do hope that the party we are leaving becomes strong enough to be able to make a difference. Our goal at the end of the day is that Nigeria just have to experience development across all frontiers. But for us in Delta, because every politics, I keep repeating it, is local, we will stay on course. We will continue to see how much we can further attract from the central government. The Tinubu, even in APC, while we were the PDP, was not unfaithful to the promises he has made in terms of our dear state. And we believe that now moving in the same direction will further advance that relationship that have existed even whilst we were in the PDP.
Well, I can begin to almost guess what your response would be. I was listening to one of your leaders, one of the leaders of your former party, even though it's a matter of days, it's your former party now. I'm speaking about Chief Olabode George, and indeed a one-time Senate President, Bukola Saraki, who have expressed disappointment, especially Chief Olabode George. He has expressed his disappointment at the action of the PDP in Delta State, saying that that is not politics. That's not how politics is played. He was quite, angry. The former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, he was softer. Say, look, it's everybody's right. Let them go. In fact, let them go. Whoever wants to leave, let them leave, so that those of us that are going to remain can work on the party, and implying that they will be playing politics the right way.
If I were some of these leaders, with due respect to them, I would prefer not to even comment on issues like this. Let me start with our former Senate President, Bukola Saraki. He did not become a Senate President on the platform of the PDP. He was a governor on the platform of the PDP. The PDP made him governor twice. And what did he do at the very critical session in 2015? He was one of those who led to the balkanization of the PDP in 2015 when they moved in the name of New PDP and then strengthened the APC to be able to get to this level where the PDP had become very, very leprous on account of those actions they took at that time. Perhaps at that time he got to a junction and he took a decision. So if other persons arrive at a junction and then decide to take a decision, I expect him to begin to look at where he's coming from, because even internet never forgets. That is for our brother and leader, Senator Saraki. But coming to our dear elder statesman, Olabode George, you also recall in 2023, while the party was very busy crisscrossing the length and breadth of this our country, hoping to produce a presidential candidate that has already emerged, and then for us to win the election, how did he navigate through that? Did he stay true with the party? Did he campaign with that presidential candidate? Did he support that presidential candidate? He was part of those who were very, very vocal in what they call the G5 made up of governors, and him as a political leader providing some nexus with which they operated. So when they provided oxygen in the wrong direction, and then they now begin to pontificate, you begin to ask, what is this integrity they are talking about? There are those who will raise issues, we will apologize to them, we will speak to them, we will crave their indulgence for them to be able to understand where we stand. but not individuals who got to a junction at a time and took a decision. When Senator Saraki joined at that time in 2015, and I know you remember quite vividly, to move against the PDP, I never saw us coming out to criticize him after he was two-time governor. So let's leave the issue. We plead with them to understand that at any given time, politics will remain very, very local. And we have looked at it as it affects us in data. We urge them to understand with us. And while they remain in our great party, PDP, let them take steps to fix it. We do not have anything against the PDP because under the PDP, we made a whole lot of progress. But we took the decision we took because right now, we believe that where we are going to will help us to further cement that development that we are witnessing in Delta.
Indeed. That development that you're witnessing in Delta, as you've been speaking, is only now, in the past political few minutes, that you have decided to pitch camp with the ruling APC. So that can be, it must be that you've been watching what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC have been doing, and it would seem that you have voted for that. So it would seem that you are committed to, him succeeding in 2 years' time when it comes to the election, even though I know that they say a day is a long time in politics. But apparently you are now convinced that the right place in terms of development for Delta states to be camped with is with the ruling APC.
Well, in 2015, I was when the President Jonathan, as he then was contesting against Muhammadu Buhari. And eventually Muhammadu Buhari won that election. I never supported Buhari because I also played key role in the Jonathan days. I told those who were my friends and who were also working with me that as soon as Buhari won, that it was the interest of all Nigerians to support him because his failure would amount to the failure of our dear country. The height of patriotism is that once you have a leader, you must be able to support that leader to be able to deliver the goods. When President Tinubu won, we said, politicking has gone. Let us support Tinubu and pray for him to be able to deliver. That is not issue of politicking. But at this moment, I have explained very, very clearly why we took the decision we took in Delta with respect to the movement. And that is the way it is. At any time, even if you are in any of the political parties, I want to consider it that it should be on the enlightened self-interest of everybody to wish and hope and support that the president of their country succeeds. Because if he succeeds, the country succeeds. So that one has nothing to do with which political party you are or which one you are not. As we make progress, now we are joining the APC. We are not joining to just go there and then become Dundee United. We're also joining to be part of the development trajectory and then help to also suggest those ways that they can also make life much more livable for Nigerians, and particularly for those of us in Delta. And so it is a question of moving in to help to advance development. We are not moving in to stall development. We are moving in to help to advance development. So that is just the way it is. And I think I have been very clear on the reasons why we are migrating.
I think you have as well. I've asked you to comment, and you gallantly did so on two important personalities, which you've done. I think Bukola Saraki and the other gentleman. Now, a third one. I'm pushing my luck here, but would you care to comment on Nyesom Wike, the former governor of Rivers State, who is now a minister in Tinubu's cabinet, while retaining his membership of the PDP?
You are a journalist, and I know that that is an issue that you have also discussed severally. And so, if individual says that the party has been very, very strong and very healthy, I think the answer to that question is better left. I'm happy you said you are pushing your luck too far on this particular one. And so I will plead that we leave that matter for another day so that we don't load today with too much.
As you wish in that case. But you were the person who was making the example of, you know, over in the US, you could be a Republican, but you could also be, you know, support a Democratic candidate without vacating your seat at all. But I think the most important thing in terms of trying to understand this is that you've pitched this camp, or the camp of this idea, squarely in the area of development for Delta State. Not personal or selfish ideas to gain, but you're thinking of the people of Delta State. And I guess there are a lot of people who will say that, well, this is something different. I don't know if this is the first time that we've seen a thing. No, it's not. It's not the first time that we've seen a governor and his commissioner and his people move parties. So maybe to that extent, it's been done before. But I suppose there's a way in which you will also see all of this against the backdrop of the explanations you have made as quite a progressive step if you consider the people of Delta State and nothing else.
Well, thank you very much. I have listened to some of those arguments. Of course, we're in a democratic setting. So when you hear such arguments, you also have to cut the individual or group of persons a pie because they also reserve that right to so hold that opinion. But let us look at the issues here. Will every Deltan become the governor of Delta State at the same time? Even if every Delta is qualified to be a governor, not all of them could become a governor at the same time. I'm not a governor today. Is it not possible that I would wish to also play one role or the other? But I'm privileged to be among those who are governing by virtue of the privilege extended to me by my boss. You have rightly introduced my designation earlier on. I'm actually Commissioner for Works in charge of rural roads, and then, of course, public information. That is a privilege. And I know by tomorrow another person can become. And if that person becomes, it behoves on me to also support that person. Believing that I'm holding that position today does not mean I'm the most qualified. There could be other persons who are going to come in and do it far better than I'm doing it today. But what we must understand is that why are we in politics? To advance the growth of our people. That's the major reason. And even by law, by our constitution, the primary purpose of government is very well stated in section 14, subsection 2, paragraph B, welfare and the security of the people. And now, if you put that together, there are certain condition precedents that must take place for you to deliver on those things. And what are those condition precedents? That you must, in our own case, because we're in a democratic society, contest an election, in which case you must also make yourself available for that contest, canvass for votes, go into the election, win the election, form the government before you can give vent to those promises that you have made and possibly advance the provision of that.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you. Let me now pick up the call of Reverend Dominic, who has kindly called in again. Good morning to you, Reverend. Thank you very much for your patience.
Good morning to you. Good morning to your guests. If you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can.
Okay. I want to talk to Charles personally. The picture he's painting this morning is worrisome. Charles is painting a picture of a people who has no character, who has no moral, who their words are not their bond. Because what Charles is painting, I know him for many years from AIT. I know him personally, closely. If you don't know me now, politics can make you destroy your friends. So Charles, please, like what you said here, that internet never forgets. Do you know what you said when your principal is vice president to Atiku? If you can listen to yourself and listen to what you're saying today, Nigerians are not this way. We are men of honor and integrity. But unfortunately, politics can damage people beyond repair. Just the way you talk, when you finish interview, go home and listen back to yourself. What is it that Delta cannot get in PDP? I am naturally an fanatic supporter of APC any day, any time. But what is it that Delta cannot get in PDP? You also, your health. You that having sharpened their PDP. Is it that in this nation, we cannot have people who can say their words are bound? A politician says something in the morning, before you want to go to bank with his word, he changes in evening. Charles, this is not good for a nation.
Dominic, Charles, a bit critical of you there. How would you respond?
No, I heard him. Thank you very much, Reverend. I'm sure you have followed my development right from my reporting days. I have not changed. It is only that it does appear you've not been able to look at the issues I've raised. I have said that where we are today, remaining in that place means that it was going to be difficult for us to be able to advance our electoral fortunes. And I gave example with Zamfara in 2019. And the question is, do we want to progress in that direction or will continue to moralize? There is nothing I have said today that is any way out of the principles I have maintained over the years. And he said Nigerians have integrity. The last time I checked, none of us, including those of us who are moving to the APC, are from Ghana. We're also Nigerians. And so what we are doing, except you need to sit down and not have a position that is not allowing you to take cognizance of the issues I'm raising. I did not say PDP is a bad party. I have told you the developmental strides we achieved wise in the PDP. I have told you what has happened with respect to the position of the leaders that may not help to advance that political machinery that we have. And that if we remain and begin to grandstand, that something awaits us. If that thing happens, even you will still join the other people who will come on board, who may not be able to do those things that we are doing that are making us make a difference. So there is nothing like changing. Anytime, any day you meet me, those who know me, they even say that sometimes I don't even talk as if I'm in the political arena. I am telling you that if you are going to a church, it is not the dress you wear in church that you wear in the swimming pool or in a nightclub. If you are going to a place, when you get to a junction, others may turn to the left and you turn to the right. Nobody should kill you because you turn to the right, because turning to the right will take you to your destination. Why the other man turning to the left? That is why those who produce vehicles decided to equip it with trafficator with which you can indicate that you're going to the right or you're going to the left. And if you are going forward, you can put on the hazard light or possibly what we call double trafficator. So my brother Reverend, don't be angry that democratically people have taken a decision. If you are, it means that you may not have been able to sit down enough to understand that in democracy, people have to take a decision, and we have taken a decision.
Then, well, Charles, it's just been like a flash, and our time is almost up. So I want to thank you, Charles Aniagu, Delta State Commissioner for Information, as well as Commissioner for Works and Rural Roads. Just one last point. You referred to TVC. I have to invite you into the studio. TVC is not in Ikosiketu anymore. TVC now operates out of Victoria Island. So the next time you come to Lagos and you want to come into the studio, we're going to be together in Victoria Island. But let me quickly thank you very much for coming on our program today.